All right, so on Build Right this morning, we're taking you all the way to Apapa. But before we do that, we hit the streets. Yes, we're going to be talking to people on the streets this morning to hear from them, really. If you find a defective structure in Lagos, what responsibility do you have as a citizen? Will you be willing to report? So Mike James has been speaking with people at Apapa to hear from them this morning. Also to find out if they'll be willing to whistleblow and talk to government if they see any building that is showing signs of collapse or perhaps showing signs that it is defective. Will they be willing to report this? Let's hear from people on the streets with Mike James.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Right, I'm sorry to take just a few seconds from you, but I want to ask a question. Do you live in this environment?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so have you noticed any building or maybe a couple of buildings that are not suitable for habitation, but yet people are living in it?
Yes, there's a building in this area. So the point is that there some like CDA, they have actually notified the building people that you come and like demolish or come and like talk to the landlord.
Okay, so the question here is, if you notice any of such buildings, are you willing to report to the appropriate authorities?
Of course, I'm willing to report, because if it doesn't report in time, it will lead to another fatal something. You know, a lot of people will now die there. So it's better that you report so that you can be able to save people's life.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Thank you.
I'm sorry to take a little of your time. You stay in this environment?
Yeah.
So in these environments where you live, have you noticed any building or maybe some buildings that are deformed or not suitable to live in, but yet people are living in it?
Yes, sir.
You have?
Yeah.
But if you have the appropriate channel, are you willing to report? Would you want to report?
Yes, sir.
Why?
Why I'm willing to report is that people living in such a building, I can say that their life are in danger also, because the building can collapse and it can fall down at any time. It's good if any person sees such a building and report it to the authority so that they will do something concerning it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
Sorry to take your time.
No problem.
So I want to ask a few questions. Do you live in this environment?
Not really.
Okay, you don't live here?
Yes.
Well, in the environment where you live, have you noticed any building or some buildings that are looking very bad, dilapidated, unfit for habitation, but people are still living there?
Many.
Many of them?
Many of them.
Okay, but if you have the appropriate channel to report those kind of buildings, are you willing to report?
Yes, why not?
Why?
Because of the Nigeria need to do something about all those houses. Anytime the house can collapse, and when it collapse, it can wound many people. Can even take a life of many people. So that is why I can even point some houses.
Thank you.
Thank God.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
So we want to talk about distressed buildings. Do you live in this environment?
Of course, yes.
Okay, so have you noticed any building or buildings looking dilapidated, unfit for habitation, but yet people are living in it?
There's a lot, but I think the government is paying a bit of lackadaisical attitude. One of the reasons is because if you have spent a huge sum of money to do an infrastructure like this, there's need to have maintenance culture, which is obviously lacking here. And I think there's need for government to take a drastic action to do some measure of infrastructure monitoring to make sure these things do not go under the drain.
So the question now is, if you notice such building and you have a means or a channel to report such buildings to, are you willing to report?
Why not? Because God forbid something decides to collapse. One might be there when it will happen. So what do you do if you don't join the wagon of going to make such reports to the government? Why not?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Mike James speaking with residents of Apapa this morning to also hear from them if they will be willing to whistleblow, as the case may be, and also, more or less just let people know if anything is wrong with any particular defective structure. So we're going to give out the numbers right now. And this is from the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development helplines. Okay. So if you see anything that is more or less suspicious, the ministry is saying, please reach out to us on these numbers, and then we'll be able to swing to gear and avert any kind of collapse. All right. The first number here is 070 3065 3241. That's 070 3065 3241. 070 3065 3241. And the second number that you can also probably call or send a message to is 080 3469 8264. Okay, that's 080 3469 8264. And of course, once you do that, somebody will be there to respond. You can also send a mail to them too. That's physical planning at lagossstate.gov.ng. Physical planning at lagossstate.gov.ng. Once you do that, definitely somebody will be there to respond. Let's switch gears this morning and also begin to talk about the program. So today we're building better communities in Lagos, how district officers can shape the built environment in Lagos. And joining me right now, I have Town Planner Akinsanya Abayomi Ajibola. He's Assistant Director, Town Planning Services with Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, and he is currently the District Head and District Officer for Apapa Local Government. Town Planner Akinsanya, nice to have you in the building. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, so you're coming all the way from Apapa. How was the journey here?
Not all the way from Apapa. I'm coming all the way from Ikorodu this
Ikorodu, okay.
Yes,
we have lots of people staying in Ikorodu, but how was the journey here?
It was interesting.
It was good. All right, Engineer Isiaka-Oloko is also joining us. Engineer Isiaka-Oloko Babatunde Ibraheem. He is a Chief Engineer with the Lagos State Building Control Agency and also the head of Apapa District Office. Engineer Oloko Ibraheem, nice to have you in the studios. Good morning.
Thank you very much, sir.
How was the journey here too?
Not bad, sir.
Are you coming from Ikorodu or from Apapa?
Exactly, I stay also at Ikorodu.
Ikorodu.
Yes, sir.
So you're doing Ikorodu United.
Something like that, sir.
All right. Let's just kick it up right away. You heard from people on the streets there, and we're just trying to find out from them really if they'll be willing to whistle blow. And some of them have said yes, if they say that, they will do that. Let's talk about what happened within the Apapa local government where you superintend during the time when the amnesty program was on. Town Planner Akinsanya, how was it? How did it go?
It went very well. In fact, very, very impressive.
There were lots of people that turned up?
Exactly.
Okay.
Substantial amount of people responded.
Yeah, prove to me. So before then, you were receiving like 2-3 applications, and during that time, how many applications were you receiving?
You know what, Apapa is a funny district in the sense that Apapa is a built-up area. It has been built for a very long time now. But that's not to say that there are no developments still going on there. We still have development, we still have remodeling or sorts.
Okay.
So substantial amount of applications were brought in during that period. Take for example, like 800, you can imagine.
Wow, 800.
Something like that.
So these are people that have already built, but they don't have the planning permit.
Some of them has a building plan permit, but could not lay their hands on it, so they have to come back for a revalidation.
Okay.
Or stamping and all they like.
Right. And Engineer Oloko, how was it in your own office during that time?
Yeah, it's just like an assistant that we give to LASPPPA, because majority of the people may not want to turn up for the coming out for their approval. So what we do is that we serve statutory notices to all buildings that we believe they are existing. Ask for their development permit. If they don't have it, we send them down to Lagos State Lagos State Physical Planning Office.
Okay.
To go and get their approval.
All right.
Done, sir.
And they were coming during that period as well.
Of course, sir.
All right. So now that the window is closed, some have been calling to say, "Look, Governor should please help us extend it." Town Planner Akinsanya, what do you think? Should it be extended?
Well, in my own opinion, I think when you have an opportunity to do a thing, you should do it on time, because you never can tell if that opportunity will be extended or not. But going by the record, you have a lot of applications that are brought in during that period.
All right.
If Mr. Governor feels in his own magnanimity,
Magnanimity,
exactly, thank you, sir, and wants to do that again for this 2025, is all welcome.
Okay. But I mean, when you look at that, some have said yes, it's welcome, but it appears you guys will be overwhelmed.
You're
up to the task.
You are up to the task.
You mean it?
Exactly.
All right. And Engineer Oloko, do you think it should be extended?
Well,
the amnesty program.
I believe during that program, a lot of people participated, but to my own opinion, when we go out to serve statutory notice, we still discover that there are lots of buildings out there that don't have development permits.
Right.
So I believe
that window should be left
it's
open.
at the discretion of the governor to say he wants to get another amnesty program
window.
Yeah, window.
Okay.
So I would believe those people should just take quick opportunity of that period if it's
open again.
Yes, sir.
Well, some school of thought also believe that if they do that, then people will be building illegally. Some will still go ahead, they build, and then they'll now begin to ask for an amnesty window. Maybe that's the reason the government is not going that route this morning.
Exactly,
all right, let's jump into your own responsibility. So, Town Planner Akinsanya, what's your core responsibility as the district head of Apapa for the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority?
Yeah, thank you, sir. The core responsibility is to grant a building plan permit to desiring application and to successful applicants, and in the same vein to do effective monitoring, check that development in that area is orderly, and if there is any discrepancies anywhere, it will be quickly spotted. That's my duty, and then I should be able to escalate that on and deal with it appropriately.
Right. So you issue planning permits in Apapa?
Exactly, sir.
Okay. And how long does this take?
Yes, presently there is understanding that we have with Mr. Governor, and it's a 10-day deal. It means that within 10 working days, which is 2 weeks, the approval should come out.
Okay.
That is if every necessary document are registered at the onset.
All right. We'll talk about those documents that are required for people to get their planning permits. But Engineer Oloko, so what are your core responsibilities as the district head of Apapa local government?
Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So my core responsibility is that when approval are granted by Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority, we ensure that all those permit granted, they are in conformity with what the developer built on site. And again, to ensure the certificate of completion and fitness for habitation for all structures. Likewise, to identify the stress and dilapidated structures around, and then sensitize the public on construction practices. At times, in most times, professionals are required to be on site, on every site. So we preach professionalism and proper conduct of discharge of duties on site, then requesting for documents relating to contravention structures like the general contractor all risk insurance,
okay,
the letter of structural stability and indemnity, the non-destructive test. Those are the things we do, sir.
Okay, so those are your own functions there.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we've been able to understand the responsibilities and what is handed out to you. Let's understand your locality a bit so that people who are listening to us this morning will be able to have a clearer understanding of where and the communities. So, Town Planner Akinsanya, Apapa local government, what are the communities that we find there?
Firstly, Apapa GRA, then Jora, Olopa, Gaskia, 7 Up, Dockyard. You have a lot of places like that.
All the port axes there.
Exactly.
Okay, they fall under your purview.
Exactly.
All right. And for Engineer Oloko, is it the same?
Yeah, we cover the same purview, sir.
All right.
The Marine Road, the Gaskia College, Sari Gomo area, the 7 Up area. At times we extend to the seaport area too.
Okay, all those corridors are under your purview.
Exactly, sir.
So you issue, and of course you cover all things that are building within those ends as well.
Yes, sir.
So how would you describe Apapa? Is it a built environment or it's developing?
Yeah, Apapa is a built-up environment already. As far as I'm concerned, Apapa has the largest GRA I have seen. Because when I go through Apapa, I discover that I've seen the largest GRA there, government reserved area, that are already built up there. And there is where we have the Apapa port, the marine port, the what they call it. There's this the built up areas, yes, that are covered throughout the metropolis. I think Apapa is generally a built up area.
So you really find buildings that are just cropping up in Apapa?
Yeah, the buildings that we always see at Apapa is the building that want to have remodification in most cases, because to me, as far as I'm concerned, Apapa is completely developed.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So in that case, Taplana Akinsanya, that means you really have applications for planning permits?
Like I've said, they come in that, but yes.
You really have that, right? So very few?
As in fresh application,
yes, fresh applications.
Very few. But when it comes to remodeling, of course, many of it.
Okay, they do.
Renovation.
Right.
Many of it.
Okay. So how do you engage them as the district head? Do you engage the local communities just to understand their needs and priorities?
Exactly. So.
You do that. How often do you do that?
Stakeholder forum is often engaged, done to engage the citizens.
Okay.
And then bring to the importance of getting planning permits, then how it will enhance their property in terms of mortgage, in terms of equity and all the rest, how to even bring about orderliness in the community. So we do that from time to time.
All right. And in terms of monitoring, you are the enforcement watchdog, engineer or local. So how often do you go out, to just do a kind of monitoring, surveillance to ensure that most of the buildings there are still up to scratch, or perhaps those ones that are defective, you can serve them notices?
Yeah, we go around on everyday basis. We don't, because development goes up every day. Development doesn't stop in any area, so we go out every day for monitoring. And once all those infractions have been captured, we serve them statutory notices, and we ask for their development permit if they actually have it. But if they don't have it, we send them down to Lagos State Fiscal Planning to obtain their development permit. And
from what you see, do we have defensive structures in some of those buildings?
Yeah, since it's Apapa is an ancient, I can call it ancient town.
Right?
Yeah.
There's some buildings that are very old.
Yeah, we have dilapidated structures very much there. We have, like, from my record, we have up to like 48 dilapidated structures that are already captured in the daily news that are prone to collapse. Yeah. Yes, and the owners are advised to look for means of rectifying all those faults or remove them completely.
Have you served them notices?
Well, we have served all their notices, and we've got them informed. We've sealed all those properties up to avert any form of collapse.
Oh, okay. So they've been sealed up already?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're sealed up. They've been those that we saw that they are they are really dilapidated. We send the occupants out of the building.
Okay.
So for safety.
Right.
So we seal them up, and they are ready for probably to be removed.
Oh, any moment from now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. This morning, we're talking building better communities in Lagos, how district officers can shape the built environment. And of course, I have with us in the studios Town Planner Akinsanya Abayomi Ajibola, who is Assistant Director, Town Planning Services with LASPPPA and the District Officer of Apapa Local Government. And I also have in the building as well Engineer Isiaka-Oloko Babatunde Ibraheem, who is Chief Engineer with LASBCA, that's Lagos State Building Control Agency, and he's also the head at Apapa District Office. We're going to take a short break right now. When we return, it'll be time to hear from you, and that will be on 091-5387-7127. That's 091-5387-7127. You can send in your messages as well on 080-99-120-777. A brief break, we'll be back.
Dear Lagosians, the vision of making Lagos a sustainable and resilient state through community regeneration and inclusive physical planning begins with building right. We all have a role to play in achieving this vision in line with the Lagos State Urban and Regional Planning and Development Law of 2019 as amended. Do you know that before buying a land or building on it, you must check for the permissible use from the Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development? Do you know that you must obtain a planning permit and authorization to commence the construction of your building? Do you also know that you require state certification and certificate of completion for building construction in Lagos State? Estate developers must obtain layout approval before developing their estate and obtain full planning permit after the expiration of a provisional planning permit. Their Lagosians, do not carry out unapproved renovation, remodeling or demolition. Do not break the seal on an enforced property. Do not obtain fake planning permits and do not abandon uncompleted buildings. Do not break the law. Build right in accordance with the state operative development plans. Let's work together to make Lagos a sustainable smart city of choice. For more information, download the Lagos State MPP UD app on Google Play Store and Apple Store. Ìgbéga ìpínlẹ̀ Èkó, Àjùmọ̀ṣe ni. Announcer, Lagos State Government.
Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Build Right is the program. This is courtesy of the Lagos State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. And this morning we're taking you to Apapa local government. So if you stay within that particular corridor, what has it been in terms of you getting your planning permits? You might want to share that with us. And if you have any questions that relates to the built environment, feel free to connect with us as well. All right. Shangota Tendo End, I understand we're experiencing slow movement of traffic inwards K2 from Lasambos Point down to Loma, personnel working. Okay, this is the Krodu end actually, not Shongotedu. All right, so it's slow. Loma personnel, they're trying to evacuate some refuse within that particular corridor. From the Shongotedu end, I understand it's a smooth ride from Eleko Junction down to Igondo, Bogije, Awuyaya, Abijo, up to ShopRite, all looking pretty good. And from there down to Ogidon, as well as the Zenith Bridge and Olokonla, LBS, Alasia, General Paint, the construction site, all moving on a very, very fast rate. No major worries. And from Legging Gardens Phase 2 down to Abraham Adesanya, both in and out, looking good as well. All right, let's hear from you. 08099 120 and 09153877127. That's the numbers you can send in your messages to. And there are some messages coming in. This one says, good morning. I have always wondered, how does the presence of the ports influence planning and enforcement in Apapa? Ngozi is sending that one in from Sulere. So the ports that you have there in Apapa corridor, does it have any influence on your enforcement activities, Engineer Oloko?
Yeah, there are influence of those sports activities there because it's always a very, very busy area. In terms of traffic, it's always very hectic to maneuver our ways through that area. Again, the port activities is a very, very, very busy area, just like I've said. So we don't have much way of getting our ways in that axis, but the port is a kind of outskirts of Apapa.
Okay,
is at the outskirts, is at the beside those lagoons and
right.
the river. So
your enforcement activity does not really get there that much.
Yeah, we just try to maneuver our way. We avoid those areas when we are doing our enforcement activities.
All right. Another question here says, good morning, Traffic Radio. Are there proper systems in place for residents to report building violations, or is it just a vibe? Akin David is sending that one in. Okay.
Yeah. They said you see something, you say something.
Mm-hmm.
If you notice that there are any activities that is going that is illegal, you have just like you've just read, we have our numbers there,
right,
at the internet and the websites, so you can just call in, maybe lay your complaint, so immediately we get a swift action and go to the place to act on, most especially when it comes to dilapidated structures,
right,
because that's to avoid and avert any form of collapse is our duty.
Okay.
LASPPPA, yes.
Let's talk about Town Planner Akinsanya. What types of planning permits do you issue?
Basically, there are two types of planning permits.
How many types?
Two types.
Two types, okay.
Basically, the provisional approval and the full planning permit.
Okay.
But there are other kinds of planning permit. We have the redevelopment planning permit. We have restamping.
Okay.
We have a renaming, or what you call a change of ownership. We have a fencing permit.
Oh, if I get a property and I want to fence it,
Yes.
if I get a landed property and I want to fence it, I'm supposed to come for a permit?
Exactly.
You mean it?
Of course.
Okay.
So I don't go and fence another person's property.
So does that mean you guys will have to come and measure it or what?
Because before you do that, you come up with a survey. The survey plan will show your perimeter boundary. So that way we know that you're not encroaching on anybody's land.
Okay.
So with that, we're able to give you a fencing permit.
Right.
So we have revalidation, we have remodeling, like I've said. We have a demolition permit too.
Right.
You can't just demolish, except you are permitted to go and demolish.
You mean it?
Of course.
So if I want to do anything demolition, I have to come to you guys first.
Very well, sir.
What about renovation?
Sure, you do a renovation permit too before you can move into site and say.
If I want to put tiles in my house, I want to change the tiles.
Yeah.
Do I have to come to you?
Exactly, you have to.
You mean it?
Exactly.
All right. A message here says, "Good morning. Please, I am curious. What exactly do district officers do when it comes to building safety? Thanks. Thank you so much for your contribution. Did you put your name, by the way? So, Engineer Oloko, you want to respond to that? Say, what exactly do you guys do when it comes to safety?
Just like I've said, after approval have been granted and the developer decides to start developing, we do state certification of the building to ascertain that the engineer and professional on site are constructing according to the specification and the rules of the governing building industry.
Right.
Then again, we discovered that some builders they use quack officers, like unprofessionals, professional on site, that they are not really into building industry.
Is there a way you can check that?
Yeah, we ensure it's mandatory that all building construction must have a professional on site. If it's an engineer, a builder, or an architect, you must have a professional on site. That is the site engineer or the site builder. So when we get to site, the first thing we ask for is the engineer on site. So we know that he is a registered current engineer.
All right.
So once we discover, so we do state certification, ensuring that the reinforcements and the materials are in good. They use proper materials. That is, they don't use substandard materials.
Okay. Do you guys go for that? Did you test the materials? Because it appears these days the materials are used. Nobody can really ascertain if it's good or not.
Yeah, we do physical testing of the material, but it's the duty of Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory to do the testing of materials. So when we get to a site and we saw that maybe the materials that are used there are substandard, we invite Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory. Well, in most cases they are there already doing the test, so they furnish us with the results of the test. That is what we work with, that we ensure that they are using the right material. Yeah.
All right. 09153877127. Those are the numbers. 09153877127. Let's hear from you as well. This one says, "Good morning, Victor. All this talk about planning reforms flying around lately. What do you guys think is the one thing?" Okay, let's take this call. Hello there.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, my name is Donald.
Donald, how are you doing?
I'm very good.
Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Bega.
Bega, all right. Donald, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to, more like a suggestion. I think the government should work more closely with the private developers because a lot of structures sometimes you see in Lagos, you wonder how did this go through, how was this approved? So I think there should be more synergy between the private developers and government agencies concerning structural integrities of building space.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Donald.
Thank you.
All right. So, do you guys have that kind of collaboration with private developers? Let's even start from there. Engineer Oloko, does that happen?
Yes, we have. Recently the governor about this introduced the cap that they are registered professionals and
that is certified accreditors program.
Exactly, sir. They are registered professionals. They help in the assistance of monitoring of buildings and state certification on sites. So because it's not as if we can't do it all, but we believe you can't be the jury and you still be the judge.
Right.
So we invited the private hands to come and assist in the monitoring on building industry.
Okay. All right. So let's begin. So where is your office located?
The office is at Boma Road, Apapa.
Okay.
Within the local government premises.
All right.
Apapa. That is the Lagos State Building Control Office.
And what about the LASPPPA office?
The same event with the same compound.
It's the same compound?
Yes, number 37 Boma Road.
Okay, so anytime anybody wants to do anything that relates to building, they can come there. Both of you will always be on ground.
Yes.
Okay. Let's begin to wrap this up now. If someone loses his planning permit, what should one do? Akinsanya?
Yeah, anybody that that has gotten an approval before and could not lay his hand on it again due to one thing or the other, the best that person can do is first to write to the general manager LASPPPA to confirm the status of the approval. If at all the approval exists, at least it's a confirmation, official confirmation. Then a letter will be issued to the applicant, stating the status of the approval that was lost. Then the second thing that the person will do is to come up with a drawing of exactly what he has on ground before and that has been lost in the approval. Then you now bring it forth for what we now refer to as a restamping.
Okay.
Then in the process of that, the person will be charged 25% of the current assessment. So he's not going to pay full, but he's going to pay a token just to send that message that next time be careful with your permit.
All right, then let's begin to round this up right now. So what's the message to our people? Williams was talking about, it says, good morning, Victor. All this talk about planning reforms flying around lately. What do you guys think is the one thing Lagos really needs to fix? Williams, thank you so much for that. Even as we round off, what's your message to the people? Engineer Oloko, let's start with you.
Yeah, my message is to the people is to make sure they build right, they get the right professionals to supervise their projects on site. They should avoid using quacks, and when you see any construction going on and you feel what you saw is not good enough, you should please get to LASPPPA office by getting us the information so that we get a swift action and act there. And again, those that are building on sites, it is their own interest to build right, to avert any collapse, to save lives. And again, when you use very good materials, you kind of get what you are the reward in future, because you have a long-lasting building rather than using substandard materials.
All right.
So that is just it.
Okay then. And Tampan Akinsanya?
Yes, Apapa District Office, it has its own peculiarity. It's a fully built environment. But having said that, there are development going on. Some people are just buying a new old property and then remodeling it.
Right. So what's the message for people?
Our advice that whoever is going through all that should come to the district office to get the planning permit that is necessary. so that the person will not be caught on guard.
Right.
Off guard. Yeah.
Okay then, we'll leave it at that for now. It's nice having you in the building. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so this morning our excursion has taken us to the built environment in Apapa, and of course we've been able to reflect on how to build better communities in Lagos, how district officers can shape the built environment. And our guest this morning, Town Planner Akinsanya Abayomi Ajibola, Assistant Director, Town Planning Services with LASPPPA and District Head of Apapa. Same for Engineer Isiaka-Oloko Babatunde Ibraheem, who is Chief Engineer with LASBCA and Head of the Apapa District Office. We have to go. The program has been produced by Mike James, and I say a big thank you to Isaiah in the building. Of course, our social media team, we do appreciate you. And I'm talking about Kwemi Shodunke. Big shout out going out to you. Our executive producer is Taya Conley. And how can I forget Akinsanya Abayomi, who's Chief Public Affairs Officer for the ministry. Same for Sanusi. That's Sanusi Mukaila, who's Director of Public Affairs. All right, till next Thursday when the program makes a return by 9:15. I'm Victor Oteri. Have a splendid day. Bye.